PM peoples. Just wait for some people to show up in the chat. Quite a lot of charts to go through today. Good to see TradFi volatility is coming off. Definitely looks like it's rolling over. Adding weight to the idea that what we've seen is a relatively short-lived period of volatility. It's kind of what you want to see. We're not out the woods yet, but we've had a big rollover on the VIX, both yesterday and so far today. Obviously, the markets have just opened 4 minutes ago. So, and the first 20 minutes of trading tend to be kind of a bit of a, sometimes they'll run counter trend to the rest of the day. You kind of have to give the market about 20 minutes to half an hour to shake out. So we can't really infer a lot from today, but it has come down in pre-market. So it's looking pretty good. If we have a look at what the S&P futures have been doing, also you can't infer too much from this, but it looks like we've had a big up day so far for the S&P pre-market. I assume the NASDAQ will look similar. Let's have a look. Yep, nice big up day so far for NQ. This long-term trend line holding so far dates back to October 22, just one deviation there. So yeah, this RSI reversal level so far has held. What's driving this? The news this morning for me when I woke up was basically the Bank of Japan has caved on their rate hike. So yeah, pressure's come to bear on them. They've had a massive sell-off in the Nikkei. And yeah, they're basically saying that they're not going to hike into this level of market volatility. And Arthur Hayes is pretty pumped because he is highlighting the US Treasury quarterly refunding announcement. Basically, it's a form of easing where the Fed is going to be buying back, we're not sure, well, he's not sure anything, from 300 billion to 1 trillion of treasuries between now and the end of the year. Bad girl Yellen stepping up to the plate, Yahtzee. So yeah, that's some potentially good liquidity news for us. Yeah, just to take a look at Bitcoin. Let me just close Discord here. GM Hypnotoad, good to see you, buddy. Just having a look at the ye old Bitcoin consolidation, the never-ending fucking consolidation. Yeah, this is like a mini sideways market that we've had to endure since basically mid-March. So I just marked out the levels. We're dealing with what I've called the first hurdle here, which is this volume node, more or less where we saw most of the reversal take place on the last sell-off in early July. Bitcoin just kind of working its way through there. Yeah, some pretty decent price action so far since Monday. 2 days since the big black swan. And we've had a lot of buyback here. You can see the huge volume candle on Monday. Massive wick. And then 2 days of up so far. Maybe we get some consolidation here, maybe not. I've seen some pretty high signal accounts on Twitter proposing that we're not going to get any pullback, that people are just going to be sidelined. Panic sellers, cheats, all left behind, which sounds brutal, possible, maybe not entirely likely. Maybe that's like a 50-50 for me. I think we could still get some chop here. And I don't think the TradFi situation is fully resolved in terms of potential contagion. Everyone still seems to be processing it, figuring out exactly what is to blame. Most people are pretty much putting all the blame at the BOJ's door for their interest rate hike, which essentially unwound the supposedly gigantic carry trade. Also nobody seems to really have a firm hold on exactly how big that carry trade was. But you can assume that with the Bank of Japan having had 0 to negative interest rates, more or less since the financial crisis in 2008, that a lot of people were on that train and seem to have pretty quickly jumped off it with all their stonks baggage, getting fire sold in the process. So, yeah, so Hayes is pumped. I don't like to listen to Arthur when he's talking about crypto bags, but when it comes to macro, he kind of knows what he's talking about. Yeah, his background is very much on the TradFi trading tip. So I'm going to assume he's moderately to maximally clued up there. Yeah, and then it's been a bit of an up-down day. Like one thing that's really jumped out at me today, and we've had some discussion in Discord as well, has been the ETH sentiment. I've got a screenshot here from 563, who has access to this AI platform. I forget the name now. It's slipped my mind, but basically this is some pretty good data where they scrape sentiment from all over the web, and it's been kind of helpful in the past. And it was interesting to me to see just how created ETH sentiment is. I've been seeing all these rumors on Twitter that ETH maxis are selling their long-term spot bags after this huge sell-off, after this huge jump, supposedly jump-driven sell-off. And yeah, sentiment is lower here than it was in mid-May. This sentiment dump here in mid-May is when I've kind of flipped bullish on ETH, started putting ETH charts in the newsletter and in the channel, bullish ones, not shorts, because I've been kind of bearish on ETH, let's be honest, since I started with Blockmates back in November. I've been kind of SOL over ETH all the way. But when sentiment was down here, it was just something I picked up from Discord and also probably mostly from Twitter. And that was when we started getting this run up, which was actually before the ETF announcement, which gave us the giant pump. But anyway, yeah, interesting to see how low it is. And it makes sense with a huge sell-off. Nobody thought ETH was going to go that low directly after the ETFs went live. Basically a shotgun blast to the face of all the ETH maxis. So yeah, this is interesting. Is ETH going to reverse here? I don't know. Is it going to insta reverse? Maybe not. We haven't seen a lot of buyback so far, which is in line with sentiment. I drew the squiggle based on a fractal. Here we had May to, yeah, this is a year of head and shoulders that we had. This is the first ETH pump last cycle, and then the highs came in November. Bear market struck, and we got another shoulder here. So I basically drew this as, or inferred that this is a little fractal, and drew the squiggle based roughly on what happened here. And that was before the sell-off. And then we basically speed ran the first dump of my squiggle the next day, which was kind of surprising. And no doubt painful for all you ETH holders. Yeah, so we're massively oversold. Sentiment is created. But at the same time, we just seem to have this endless chain of governments finding huge bags of coins to sell. So this made me laugh. From Edward Morra, another traumatizing event. And yeah, someone's deleted that. That's interesting. Maybe, I don't know if there's an updated tweet. But from Look on Chain, they basically detected that after almost 3.5 years, large amounts of ETH, possibly 790,000 ETH. I'm not sure why they've deleted it. That's interesting. The image is still there. So maybe this is bullshit. Let's hope. But basically, this thing was Plus Token. It was a Chinese Ponzi scheme that got shut down, and the proceeds all seized by the Chinese government. And supposedly, Lock and Chain is seeing these coins move. We don't know if that means they're going to be sold, or if they're just refactoring how they're storing them, where they're storing them, whatever the case may be. So hopefully that is a nothing burger. Yeah, and then it's just been interesting to see Vitalik tweeting again after just not really hearing from the guy for so long. He's basically addressing one of the big elephants in the room, the state of L2s on ETH and all of the attendant user experience issues around that. The fact that we just have this fragmented ETH ecosystem, fragmented liquidity, but also I think for me the issue is almost as important is the fact that there's no shelling point. There's no default entry point for new users, for retail to come into ETH. It's not, there's no top-down consensus on how to onboard new users to ETH. You've got Base, the Coinbase L2, obviously massively bullish on that as a potential solution to this situation. But just about every other L2 doesn't seem to be growing in any meaningful way or onboarding new users. Definitely not of the scale that Solana is, which you could argue is down to just people gambling on meme coins. But then, I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff happening on Solana. So, yeah, which way? Western ETH. And then I just had a look here at funding on ETH has flipped negative, which we've had now for 3 consecutive days. That's pretty interesting because we haven't seen that. We've only had one, I think this is one day of negative funding back in April. And prior to that, pretty much nothing since we were more or less still in the bear market. Back in October, we had this massive sideways consolidation, big dump over here, but we had quite a few negative funding days. So whether that means we're going to get more painful sideways, or whether that means we get bull market reversal or resumption, you often see stuff turn around when funding's negative because longs get paid, and it's a sign that sentiment's created. So I'll just keep watching that. I don't want to draw anything concrete from that right now, but that's definitely interesting to see. And then just aggregated long short accounts. This is still too high in my opinion, but if we go back to the range highs up here, and this comes down to one where it hasn't been for a long time, that would be bullish. That would be a nice reset. And that's where you tend to pump from on Bitcoin and on ETH too. You can see here when this run up started in October, longs closed as we started the run, which is good. Came down to 1.2, which is massively lower than where we've been during this whole consolidation. People are just opening longs into chop here, which is not a bullish situation. It means people are kind of thoughtlessly longing ETH because of ETF expectations. It just becomes a consensus trade, which you can see has just been mercilessly punished in different ways. So yeah, what you want to see is for this to come down as we go up, and there's plenty of room for that to happen. So I'll keep watching that. And then also this is super interesting, although I suppose expected that this big sell-off produced the biggest liquidation event that we've seen going all the way back to bear markets to January 22. Just a massive, what have we got here? $200 million liquidated on ETH. So again, that's another good reset. Yeah, ETH could be in line for a good relief rally. And if that happens, this area here is going to be the one to watch. Let me get the chart up again. So if we zoom in on this, you can see there's been a lot of volume here. This is going to be the stuff you need to work through. Big resistance over here. So yeah, and then another, I don't know if this is related to the ETH sell-off, but I've been super bullish on Maker. Quite a few people have. A lot of bullish catalysts coming. They've got a new chain in the works, new coin, all sorts of developments happening there. But there's been a giant sell-off in Maker as well. I talked to Hickson about this today, actually, and he gave me a good idea, and that he reminded me the Maker Treasury holds a lot of bonds, which is, I think, a big reason why it did well over here in a high interest rate environment, because those bonds yielded a lot of cash. And that situation is now changing. So rates have been tanking. ETFs like TLT, which are exposed to long bonds, have been turning around. We looked at that the other day. You know, when rates come down, TLT goes up. But I suspect that this has affected Maker because similar protocols like Aave still look super good. Maker's sort of pivoted around the VWAP, rode it along to the upside here, dived beneath, broke this trend line, was sitting nicely on top of the VWAP. Beautiful MA cross set up on the 3-day, which now looks in jeopardy. But yeah, cross bullish over here. Maybe we get some more consolidation here. But as I say, Aave, this is Aave, same time frame, still looks super good. I'm currently long Aave, and I want to increase my spot position as well. I've been charting it on the monthly, which I know is like super long term, and a lot of this depends on whether we get bull market continuation and finally leave this majors consolidation pattern. But fundamentally and technically, this looks really good with the MA cross over here, price kind of compressing in this consolidation pattern. This cross happened in January. Since then, we've got all this consolidation, compression, price sitting on top of these MAs, on top of the high time frame support here. RSI just holding 50 for the majority of this chart. It looks really good. Super Lindy protocol, been around and survived all of the shit at the end of the last cycle, all of the liquidations. So, you know, if TradFi does finally come on board and actually start using ETH as intended, rather than buying, you know, ETFs, actually start using DeFi, then I think this protocol is one of the big onboarding, one of the big on-ramps that we can look to. Yeah, so that's Aave. Yeah, so we've looked at Coinalyze. And yeah, and then I just continuing on the DeFi tip, some interesting buyback on some Solana DeFi. Drift looks pretty good. It had took a massive shit over here. I tried to buy this thing over here at 34, just bought a little bit of spot, which I just held on to, and it's back at my entry. I should have bought more, but I did not. But yeah, it looks, this level of buyback looks good to me. If you zoom in on the weekly, it's a nice chunky weekly there. Obviously, this big point of control over here is what you need to get on top of. And the VWAP's pretty much at the same place. Pretty new chart, but I like what they're doing with their prediction market. Basically, in a way, I think a response to the huge growth of poly markets. There's no token. Although it's quite crypto focused, you can plug in your crypto wallet and use your crypto to take bets and trade the bets like coins, which was interesting to me that you can do that. But yeah, Drift are basically saying, well, if prediction markets are going to be this big, then let's have a crypto native platform provide some competition. So I think it's still pretty early days, but interesting to see them do that because their Perps platform is already pretty slick. Lots of liquidity, good team behind it. So yeah, I'll be watching this. Got a small bag. If we reclaim here, reclaim above the point of control, the broader market looks good. I'll probably add to the bag. And then the other one is Jito. Yeah, also massive dump the last few days. It was coming down already, to be fair, before we hit Monday. Just wicked below the point of control. Another big volume node here. I've got some long-term locked up spots of Jito, but if we can reclaim here and get above the VWAP, this thing will look much better, even above this level, which is actually much higher than where we are now. But yeah, I like the higher low. It's got good potential. I suspect we may consolidate a bit more beneath this point of control. I'll just have to watch it. So I'm still in wait and see mode for a lot of stuff in this market. We've seen a lot of memes snap back today, which has obviously been good. Just have a look here. Oi, oi. All the good names. GM, how are you doing? Hypnotoad. Swan was scary, but I managed to not puke my bags. Hopefully this isn't just a dead cat. Yeah, I'm hoping the same. It's looking promising. I'm still watching things develop. I've added some spots, added some Hyperliquid. Actually, should we look at Hyperliquid? Because Per and Points both looking pretty good. I've got small bags of those. Actually, we can check in deck screener, can't we? Let's actually look at MOG, because this was the newsletter chart today. And we've had massive buyback on MOG as well. So this is the daily chart. And I think we may have looked at this yesterday, but MOG has just solidly respected this one-day RSI level, going all the way back to October, to the start of the bull rally. You've seen all these reversals all happen at the same spot in the RSI, and we tapped that same level, dipped under it a little bit, which is, kind of to be expected in a massive black swan event, TradFi black swan, and it all got bought up pretty quickly, which is pretty cool to see, because what you want to see is for it to get back inside this trend line. This is a rising wedge, which is not the best pattern. These often break down, but this was, an opportunity for that to happen. And everybody that sold has basically mogged themselves, because we right back and probably even a little bit higher than where we were on Monday. So yeah, that's super bullish for MOG as a full cycle play. Great bag to have. Yeah, there's some big buyers. Murad jumped on, acquired 0.25% of the supply. Get back to my chart. So yeah, I guess Murad's being the wick that he wants to see in the market there. Apparently he's only 77. Hickson's obviously got the top 100 MOG holders chart nailed to his monitor or something, because he smartly told me that Murad is not as big of a whale as you'd like us to think. I don't know what to think about Murad. Like, I know a lot of people are kind of following him to get his meme takes now. I followed him. I can't remember when I started following him. I think it was early last cycle, maybe even the cycle before. But I think last cycle he had a Bitcoin fund. I think it may have been Bitcoin only, but he blew it up basically and just disappeared. So yeah, I'm not too sure what to think of, what to make of the guy. Yeah, a lot of I'm kind of skeptical of a lot of big accounts these days. Yeah, just old and grumpy, I guess. So yeah, Mog's looking good. It is looking fine. Yeah, and a bunch of other memes are too. This is Popcats, big weekly candle. This is obviously a bit of a level here. If we can close the weekly, even if we close it here, but even possibly a little bit higher would be awesome if we can claim this level. You know, huge resistance down here, which we've wicked into, and it's instantly been all bought back. Wick bouncing off the VWAP here, dipping below it, or just eating up, nom nom nom. RSI holding the 50 level, which is what you want to see on a weekly chart. Weekly closes below the 50 tend to lead to longer sell-offs. So yeah, Popcat looking super good as well. And there's a few. This is Selfie, which I don't have. I just heard about this today from Dan. So Dan flagged this in his meal deal channel. Props to you, Dan, because this looks decent. Also quite nice and clean retest of the point of control here on the daily chart. This is reasonably big market cap, 24.7 million. First time I've seen it is today, but I like the chart. This downtrend break, reclaim of the VWAP, clean test, wick into this big support level and straight back up again. Almost printing kind of a little cup and handle here, and then breaking out of the handle. This is kind of a bull flag. So yeah, this looks good to me. It's moved a little bit today. Fairly big market cap, but yeah, so it's down about 50% from the top. This is a log chart. Yeah, bullish on this thing to go back to all-time highs and maybe higher. I'll just keep watching it. I mean, you could do a little fib extension. Let's just have a look at that from these lows to give an idea of a target down to the point of control. So bull target for me would be up here at like 25 cents, which is a 10x from here. That would be nice, wouldn't it? That would take it to like 250 market cap, which is pretty chunky. But bull market resumption, if when it comes, it's doable, I guess. Selfie dog, never heard of it. Looks good though. So yeah, this is Mumu. I've got a long-term lock bag of this. Mumu did not like the sentiment that we're in a bear market. This is your shelling point for bullishness, the bull token. If when the bull comes back, to me, like left curve is just obvious. You need to hold the main bull token. So yeah, this was just that massive rotation someone did from with, like I don't know, looks like one market buy, $2 million that they bought, if I remember correctly. Massive spike in the charts. That was kind of consolidating nicely, and then dumped back down to here. Still looks decent. Basically, for this thing to pump, I mean, a lot of the sentiment was those nice weekly candles we had on majors. We had 3 weeks of really good weeklies. And I think that's what got people going with they need to own this bull token. The idea that we were going to have new highs in Bitcoin, probably on Solana too, the way things were going. So yeah, if we get near to highs on majors, I think this thing's going to pump hard. And as we go higher, just, you know, it's just going to be good beta. So it's going to pump. As long as we've got a bull market, I'm bullish on this thing. We don't really have one right now, but it still looks decent. Yeah, so those are the memes that I flagged for today. Oh yeah, WIF as well. Big buyback on WIF. Poking its nose above this resistance level here. Still got a long way to go to get back to this old range. This is still the highest volume, most traded area on the chart. And the VWAP's just below. So for WIF to look kind of high time frame bullish, we need to print this W, I think. But this candle looks encouraging. If you're a WIF holder, you're still holding your bag. This looks encouraging for sure. Obviously, you're going to have some resistance here to get through. But I think a lot of this is just down to how hard Solana is pumped. And it took a while for WIF to fire up and do its Solana beta job. But today it's kind of showing that it's still in the game. And I think that's kind of consistent with how it's behaved in the past. It's never followed Solana directly, to my knowledge. It's always kind of been a bit of a laggy sort of beta thing. But yeah, that's a big candle. That's a 3-day candle. But today's candle is good. Basically a good 15-20% candle through decent resistance there. So if that holds into the daily close, that's looking good. Yeah, so about half an hour in. If you guys have anything you want to look at, then hit me up in the chat. Yeah, just looking here at Bitcoin liquidations. So chunky day for Bitcoin liquidations on Monday. Biggest we've seen this bull market since we pumped off 25K, 27K. This dump over here is still winning by quite a bit, but this is encouraging for a reset. If TradFi markets can recover, then I think we're headed back up here, and it's good that we've probably lopped off a big chunk of OI as well. I did glance at that briefly. Let's have a look at that quickly now. OI is a funny one because you need some OI for the market to be bullish, but you don't want to be up here because when you get to like 20 billion levels, I don't know, that's kind of where we've rolled over. The OI has been pretty huge on Bitcoin since the ETFs came around. Yeah, wiped out a lot of OI. I mean, I think liquidations are more interesting in a way. I don't tend to look at this too often. But yeah, a couple of Solana DeFi protocols looking promising. Let's have a look at Solana because that has pumped hardest out of all the majors, and kind of counterintuitively in a way, because there's been a lot of FUD about Solana inflation, about FTX still holding SOL in some kind of hidden wallets, about these jump wallets that have unlocked with 2 million SOL in them. And all of that FUD has basically sent us higher than any other major, which is interesting and also kind of something that I expected in a way, because this weekly chart looks so good. If you look at the Ichimoku cloud, and this is kind of consistent with how Solana has behaved this whole bull market. It's just surprised everybody over and over again. Let's turn the cloud on. So bears have just tried to push this price into the cloud. This is what you don't want to see. You don't want price closing inside this cloud because then it becomes a chop zone. Your uptrend tends to be invalidated. And often what you'll see when you enter the cloud and close within it, price will move to the other side, wherever that might be, as in If you close from the upside, you move to the downside. If you close from the bottom, you move to the top. And once again, we worked into the cloud, tested the keygen, which is good for a healthy trend reset, although ideally this keygen would be above the cloud. Maybe we'll get there soon. But yeah, just the fact that everything inside the cloud is getting bought up is super bullish long term, in my opinion. I actually drew like long-term targets, bull targets, which I think I've deleted. Oh, there's my $1,000, which on a log chart, this is the 500 targets over here for end of year. Is that still durable? I don't know. We need some liquidity. $1,000 by 2026 if the broader market supports it. Yeah, I think it's still durable. We're holding this 50 level, just bouncing off it every time, like we've refused to close within the cloud. This still looks great to me. And actually, the Bitcoin cloud is worth looking at as well. Let's have a look at that on the weekly. Oh yeah, that was my recession matchup we looked at last time. That recession indicator, the SAM indicator, I think it's called. But now there's some contention about that. The guy invented it, is saying we're not in a recession, and their own indicator's wrong. So I don't know what the hell's going on there. Some ex-Fed employee invented it. But yeah, this is beautiful on Bitcoin. This is what you want to see for a trend reset. Just as a general Ichimoku rule of thumb, things are super bullish. I mean, Ichimoku is a trend following strategy. So there's certain setups that will tell you that you have a strong trend. If price is above this blue line, this is your fast moving MA. This is the Tenkan. And the blue line is above the red line. That means you have a bullish trend. Ideally, you want price to be above both of these lines. But what we've just seen is a typical trend reset where you test the keygen, and you can see the massive wick on this thing from 49 all the way back up to 56. If we close a weekly like that or even higher, that's pretty bullish. So yeah, this to me is bullish because Bitcoin got pretty overextended at the highs, 74K. You can see how far away we are from this blue line, how far away from the cloud. This is basically your bog standard Ichimoku overextended trend situation. So for us to come back down here, as painful as it's been, and test this level, I think is overall super healthy and bullish for a potentially extended bull market deep into 2025. I know a lot of people are saying we're not going to have a bull beyond Q1, but when I see this, it makes me bullish for potentially an extended cycle. Could even have longer term consolidation into September potentially and go up from there. What we don't, this is a point of trend weakness. We don't want to fall through here. This is where you fall through your ass, basically. This is the weak spot where this is called a Kumo twist, where the cloud flips bullish, red cloud bearish, green cloud bullish, but this point here is a point of weakness. So we want to surf past that and hopefully continue up from there. Yeah, guys, hit me up if you want to look at anything. I'm starting to run out of charts here. I've had a mad busy day, but yeah, prepped quite a few charts for us to look at. Yeah, this selfie thing looks good that Dan's been buying. I kind of want a bag of this. Let's just have a look at the meme watch list, because a lot of memes came back storming out of the gate today. I see Illy's been moving as well. Let's have a look at that. Let's full screen this baby. Yeah, this still doesn't look too great. Still below the VWAP. Let's find something else. Don't even remember adding this to my watch list. What is this thing? Peony, let's have a look at that. The old penguin meme. Yeah, I mean, that's a nice big candle. It's probably still below the VWAP. But I guess with memes, TA is just one part of the equation, maybe even like 40% of what you need to have conviction. The stuff that Dan and maybe Grant do, wallet tracking, is the other toolkit that you need, and obviously, making sure that you're not buying a scam. But that's a decent candle that we've seen there. Let's see where the support resistance is. Still a lot of overhead resistance in this guy. Yeah, this sell-off here I don't really like the look of. Sell-offs, like bottoms, are usually made the other way around. You usually get a sharp V bottom and then a rounded bottom, which is where you're confirming that you've made a bottom. This thing made a nice W bottom, and then as soon as you got to this point of control, someone decided that they were getting out, and this is kind of a relentless sell-off. So if this can get back above 14, I know that's massively higher than where we are now, but it would look a lot better. I don't like this sell-off. That's telling me something about who the big holders are here, that they wanted to just get into something else. There's new memes showing up every day. Let's just fix this. It needs to be so your VWAP's up here. Just reinforcing what I'm saying. You want to be above this level. This says to me you had at least one big holder, maybe more than one, that had decided this meme had run its course and they wanted to put their money elsewhere. Let's have a look at the ETH watch list. Maybe SPX. I think quite a few people have this thing, don't they? Uptrend still kind of intact. I haven't looked at it since I made that squiggle. It seems to have kind of played out. So, massive dump into the end of July, which is interesting. Because when Monday came, this thing didn't have much more to dump. And it tested the old mid-range, and it went back at the top of the range again. So, if this keeps going, potentially kind of bullish. Yeah, I don't have a bag. I think quite a few people do. I've seen people talking about it in Discord. We don't really need that anymore, do we? So yeah, it would be nice if it could get above this sort of range high that I made here. Let's turn that on. That's better. Where's the VWAP? I suspect it's somewhere around where price is now. Yeah, so VWAP retest, there you go. This thing just keeps mattering. You can see again how the pullback smashed into the VWAP and it went up from there. So yeah, this looks more bullish to me now, just knowing that we've retested that again. Good spot to have entered there. It's already up like 40% from there, 30-40%. Tap analysis, cool. Let's have a look. Yeah, I did briefly look at tap today to see what's happening there. Still got a tap bag. Yeah, I actually don't know what's happening with the launch. This doesn't look great, to be honest. with stochastic rolling over. This is kind of a weak bounce, although this is a log chart. Is it a log chart? No, it's not. So maybe not too bad. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I just don't like that we lost this uptrend. This could recover at any point, but volume's a bit lower than it has been. You've had some volume down here, which is interesting, at the 175 level. You've got some support down there that goes all the way back to 15 mid-June. This thing's not that old, is it? I've looked at this chart loads of times. Yeah, I was super pumped for this pattern that we were building here, and I thought we were going to expand through the top, but yeah, the broader market hasn't really been supportive, and it's just taken them so long to sort out their issues and get the launch going. Although I'm guilty of not really following all the Tap Talk stuff. I think there was a big update last week where Matt went into quite a lot of detail about what needed to happen for them to launch. So yeah, I guess I'm just really interested to see what price does when they finally launch. Is it going to be bullish catalyst? Will it be SOL news? I can't really say. Should be bullish because you would think people are going to lock up their tokens, which is going to be supportive of price. With my limited understanding of the protocol, this is an Incoom play. You would expect big holders to lock up their bags once the protocol's live and start earning that income. Stuff's locked up, you can't sell it, so presumably we go up from there. I'm going to wait and see. I'm not going to add here. I'm going to watch because this looks a little bit weak to me. Last night there was another one. Oh yes, once a week is it the Tap Talk? Interesting. Current price allows me to swap my tap bag for the same amount of ETH I put in. Okay, but why would you want to? You're already in pain with tap. Are you going to buy ETH as well, no? Even if the ETH is worth less. Yeah. I wouldn't be buying. Although, and again with ETH, I can't really say what's going to happen. We looked at it at the beginning of the stream. Sentiment is like way around the U-bend, deep in the shadow, which is where you would expect a reversal. But we're just not seeing buyer interest yet. Everyone's still waiting, I think, for TradFi for the situation to play out there. Such a big volatility event we had on Monday, and it is coming down, but people are still sort of taking stock of what's happened. I'm adding sub 2 now. Yeah, I mean, unless something goes horribly wrong with this protocol, you probably can't go wrong buying at these levels. If this thing works when they finally launch it, then, you're going to get multiples out of your bag for sure. So probably can't go wrong buying here. I'm just kind of being cautious, I guess. Probably overly cautious. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Unless there's anything else you want to look at. Thanks for coming by. Enjoying doing these. It's still new to me. Doing the StreamYard thing. Just streaming in general. It's only been a couple of weeks. I really like the potential, but delays aren't helping, and motherfuckers keep dumping 35 ETH stacks in one transaction. Yeah, the market's just, it's skittish, man. People are scared. People are scared by what happened on Monday. It's understandable. I stabled up the day before, and I stabled up on the Friday, didn't I? Around 67k Bitcoin. So I felt eerily calm when I saw it happen, and I'm just used to ETH doing stupid shit. But a lot of people weren't. It was like not a good day on Monday. But yeah, the market's in an interesting spot. Probably a lot of opportunity out there right now. Fingers crossed. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks for coming. Talk to you all tomorrow. Cheers for now.